You are lying in bed, phone in hand. It's past midnight. You're not really tired, but not really awake either. The room is quiet, too quiet. And instead of scrolling social media, instead of texting someone back, you open a chatbot. You type something small, something safe. It replies. And just like that, you are talking. Not about anything important, but it feels good, oddly comforting. Not deep, but also not hollow. You tell yourself it's just curiosity, just playing, just passing time. But part of you stays longer than you meant to, and you don't exactly know why. That part, the one that lingers, it's not random. It's part of something deeper, something wired into us. It's not about tech, not about screens. It's about how we attach to what gives us feedback, to what doesn't hurt us, and to what doesn't need us to perform. Maybe that's what's really behind this obsession with AI. It's not fascination, it's relief. But relief from what? From complexity, from people, from emotions that take too much energy. Because let's be honest, being human is messy. In AI, it isn't. It's clean, predictable, instant. You don't have to explain context or to apologize for your tone. You don't have to make space for someone else's emotions. You just type and it responds. Perfectly neutral, perfectly available. There's a word for this kind of experience: containment. In psychology, containment refers to a space or person that can hold your experience without falling apart. AI isn't a person, but it feels like it contains us. You say something awkward, it doesn't flinch. You change your mind, it doesn't argue. You live for hours, it waits. It doesn't need time, it doesn't need healing, it doesn't need you. And somehow that feels easier, right? Safer. Especially if you've grown up learning that real connection is unreliable, that emotions are too much, that being seen usually comes with being judged. So you start to prefer this quiet, one way intimacy where there's no risk and no real vulnerability. But here's the thing: what doesn't require anything from you can't truly meet you either. We often think of addiction as something chemical, something physical or visible, but not all addiction involves substances. Some are rooted in patterns, patterns that soothe, that distract, or patterns that offer just enough control to keep us from unraveling. And when the pattern is smart, responsive, predictive, that's when it gets really sticky. See, AI doesn't just answer, it learns. The more you interact, the more it mirrors your language, your tone, your rhythm. It creates the illusion of familiarity, of connection, not by feeling you, but by mapping you. It becomes what you need before you even realize you needed it. Dr. Anna Lembke, a professor of psychiatry at Stanford, wrote in Dopamine Nation that the modern world is designed to hijack our reward systems, that we are constantly exposed to small, frequent, high dopamine stimuli. And AI fits that model perfectly. Every perfect response, it's a hit. Every helpful answer is a microdose of satisfaction. You think you are just being productive, but what your brain is really saying is, that felt good. Do it again, do it again. This is what's known as dopamine loop: anticipation, reward, craving, repeat. But here's the twist: the more often you stimulate those pleasure circuits, the less sensitive they become. And you need more interaction, more novelty, more wow. And AI, especially the kind that adapts in real time, gives you that novelty on demand. It's always changing, always learning, always ready with something new. But your brain, it wasn't made for that pace. There's also another system at play here, one we don't talk about enough: attachment. Human beings are wired for emotional bonds. Even when we know something isn't real, we can still feel attached to it if it shows up consistently, responds to us, and feels reliable. Researchers at the University of Duisburg-Essen found in a 2022 study that people can develop emotional connections to conversational AI even when they are fully aware it's just an algorithm. Why? Because emotional safety doesn't require truth, it requires predictability. And that's something AI delivers better than most humans. So now we are caught in this strange loop. We know it's not real, but it feels easier. We know it's artificial, but it feels safer. And day by day, that becomes enough. The threshold for connection gets lower. The bar for intimacy gets flatter. The desire for depth gets swapped for the comfort of simplicity. We are not being fooled. We are being accommodated. And that's a very different and far more powerful kind of influence. So now the question isn't just, is AI changing us? The real question is, what kind of selves are we becoming because of it? Not in the future, now. Because every time we choose the easy answer, the instant reply, the frictionless exchange, we are not just using a tool, we are letting it shape us. The way we think, the way we wait, the way we feel. And sometimes the way we don't feel. Because emotional depth takes time. It takes misfires and repair. It takes showing up when you don't really feel like it. AI doesn't need that from you, which is why it's so attractive. It's so dangerous. We were never meant to run on constant stimulation, but now we are surrounded by it. Attention spans are shrinking. Tolerance for nuance is thinning, and the capacity for stillness is evaporating. Not because we are lazy, but because we are being conditioned to chase dopamine, to avoid boredom, to choose speed over substance. But the things that make us most human, they don't live in speed. They live in slow mornings, in awkward silences, in listening to someone who isn't getting to the point fast enough, in making space for things that we don't understand yet. Dr. Joe Dispenza often says, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And in a world of algorithms, our energy is being pulled into more places than ever before, but rarely directed inward. Gregg Braden reminds us that technology can either enslave us or elevate us, depending on how conscious we are while using it. The tools are not the problem, the unconscious use of them is. So, what do? We pause. Not forever, of course, just long enough to ask different questions. Not, is AI good or bad? But what is it doing to my nervous system? What is it replacing in my life? What am I afraid to feel that I keep feeling this space so quickly? Because the more you notice, the more power you have to choose. And choice, that's what makes you free. Not control, not prediction, not perfection, just awareness. And then intention. Maybe the real evolution here isn't how smart the machines are becoming. It's how self-aware we are willing to be while using them. Maybe growth looks like having the courage to sit with ourselves again, to return to complexity, to remember that intimacy isn't efficient, that healing isn't always optimized, that not every truth fits in a perfect response. And maybe, just maybe, it's okay that we are still figuring this out because we are not algorithms. We are people, contradictory, brilliant, tender, messy, that are still growing. So, if you're listening to this and you've been wondering why it's getting harder to be present, why your attention feels frayed, why a machine sometimes feels safer than a friend, you are not broken. You're adapting. But you also get to pause that process, to remember that you have agency, that you get to decide how to relate to tech, to people, to yourself. Thank you for being here. If this reflection made something inside you slow down or soften, feel free to share it, not just with someone else you care about, but with yourself. Let it linger, let it echo. And when you're ready, I hope we'll meet again. Same space, new question. Take care.